Hey guys, it's Linux Next here. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the StreamDeck on Linux. To be more specific, the StreamDeck that we are going to be looking at today is the StreamDeck Mark II, as you can see here. And I've been using it for the past couple of days, and I'm going to show you guys what the experience is like using a StreamDeck on Linux today, and what are the alternatives when it comes to when you move over to Linux. Which software do you use to actually get a StreamDeck functional? And when it comes to, was I paid by Elgato? Did they send this out to me? No, they did not. This was an early birthday present from my mate. So when it comes to, am I getting paid for it? No, I'm not. And when it comes to my opinions, they are all going to be mine. So when it comes to using the StreamDeck, first of all, does it actually work? Well, yes, it does work. You plug it in, it's able to boot up properly. It goes onto a Elgato logo when it first boots up. So when it comes to just plugging it in, well, it does actually function in terms of it turning on. But when it comes to the alternative software, because you can't use the Elgato software on Linux, sadly, but when it comes to the alternative software, there is three main software choices that you can choose from on Linux to control your StreamDeck. And if I do switch over here to my screen, you can see some couple of options. The first one is Boatswain or Boatswain. This is a pretty simple piece of software for controlling a StreamDeck. It has, a little bit amount of plugins to basically get you, I guess, an introduction to a StreamDeck, but it doesn't give you a lot of options. It just gives you probably enough options if you're not someone who's going to be using it for a bunch of different things. Only maybe for recording, maybe some shortcuts for maybe connecting to some application, or you want to launch some application really quickly, or I don't know, maybe you just want to make it look colorful or something, but it doesn't give you a lot of options, I would say. The second one is Stream Controller, which is the one that I am using currently. And I would say this is the one when it comes to, for me, it has enough plugins to really get you set up, either it be using it for OBS, for switching scenes, either it be muting your mic, either it be globally or through a Discord plugin that you can set up on Stream Controller. Or it be things like you can look at the weather, or you can even do a speed test, you can launch an application, you can control your music, either it be through Firefox or through something like YouTube Music, which is what I use. And even things like showing your CPU usage, your memory usage, or even showing a graph of that usage. And the third option is OpenDeck. Now, what they're trying to do is make the plugins be supported, the ones that are on Elgato software, they are trying to make that supported on Linux. They're trying to make it as close as possible to a similar experience when it comes to the plugins. Not necessarily the UI or maybe the theming, but when it comes to the plugins, they are trying to make it as close as possible to the Elgato. So if you like the Elgato software, this is probably the one you would like. But in my testing, when I was trying it, either it be my own fault, probably my own fault, but when it comes to setting up certain plugins, it was not working with some of them, like the OBS one or the Discord one. Those weren't working properly for me. But like I said, if you want the closest experience, I would probably use OpenDeck. So we'll start out with the most basic one, which is Boatswain. How do we set up Boatswain? Well, first of all, we need to actually grab the application. So I'm just going to open up Discover because I run KDE Plasma and I'm going to use Flatpak. These applications are probably provided either through the AUR as well if you're on Arch. But for the most people, you can just grab it from Flatpak because most distros, support that. And you can just search it up. You can click download. Then the next thing we have to do after installing the application is we have to set up a UDEV rule. Now, a UDEV rule is let's say my keyboard, for example. If I want to configure it, I need to set up this rule so the piece of software can actually interact with that piece of hardware. By default, that stuff isn't set up. So you have to set this up manually. I do wish these applications probably just would ask you and then it would just do the operations for creating the rules. But you have to do it manually. So we need to go to this directory. What we're going to do is open it up in a terminal. You can do it through a file manager if you're able to get administration rights within your file manager, but we're going to do it through the terminal because that's just the most easiest, I would say. And we are going to do this in the nano text editor, which is in the terminal. So we're going to do sudo nano, and then we're going to do the thing that we just copied, which is the directory that we are going to go to, which is etc/udev/rules.d/50-elgato.rules. Type in our password, and there's going to be a list of devices that it supports. For you, it will be blank, and you'll have to copy this right here, which is the copy button right here, and we want to paste it in here, then do Control X, Y, and enter to save the file and to exit out of Nano. Then the next command we need to do is we need to reload the UDEV rules. Or if you want to do this like easy way, you can just reboot, but this is really easy anyways. I'll leave this all in the description for you guys to copy, which is just sudo udev adm space control space -- reload rules. This will reload the rules so you don't have to reboot the computer. So we do that, and now if we open up Boatswain, we should be able to configure the StreamDeck. And if you haven't looked at this list already, this shows the supported devices for Linux when it comes to StreamDecks for Boatswain. And mostly when it comes to the other options that are available, they support the same devices. So we can have a look here. The devices are supported, like the StreamDeck Mini, the Mini V2, the original V2, the StreamDeck XL, the XL V2, the Mark II, the Plus, the Pedal, and the Neo. So if you have these devices, they are supported on Linux. And like I said, for me, I have the StreamDeck Mark II, so I can utilize my StreamDeck on Linux. And as we can see here, it has detected my device, and I already have some pages, like folders set up for the StreamDeck. So you can see a preview of what it looks like. I can show it up on the camera here so you can kind of see better look at it. As you can see, it is working. And to actually configure it, we just click on one of the buttons, you could say, and we can do a background color, the name of it. We can select an action, and this is where the plugins that are supported for this piece of software. So we have a soundboard, like a music player. We can play different audio. So we do select that. If we have some audio playing, we can now pause that and play it. And you can change the behavior of it. So you can either do a restart, an overlap, play/stop, loop/stop, and press and hold. And you can control the volume of that action that happens. Then when it comes to OBS Studio, we can do a decent amount of things with this. So we can switch a scene, we can record, we can stream, virtual camera, we can toggle mute, and we can show/hide a source. So if we do switch scene, for example, what we'll need to do is we'll need a WebSocket plugin for OBS Studio. And for that to be supported, if you're using the OBS Flatpak version, which is the direction that I'm going to go down because I'm using OBS Flatpak, we can just search it on Discover, we can click on OBS, we can go to add-ons, and then we just need to find the WebSocket Legacy plugin, which is down here. All you have to do is just install it, reopen OBS, and there'll be a WebSocket setting that you can control and configure. So if we do move OBS over to here, if we go up to tools, we can see there's two options here. There's a WebSocket server settings, which is the legacy version, just for compatibility. And then there is the regular one. Now for me, I use the regular one because I'm using Stream Controller, and Stream Controller supports the newer one. Now for Boatswain, it may only support the legacy one. If it doesn't, it probably supports the newer one, which is probably most likely. And for this application, you need to set up the host and the port. Now, for me on Stream Controller, it supports a password also. For some reason, there's no password section on here. So I'm unsure if it's actually going to work with a password or not. Let's say you do enable a password and it doesn't work. Then you need to disable the authentication and you need to set the right server port on this WebSocket. Either it be the legacy one or it be the newer one. Then it will be able to connect to OBS and you can use these actions to either switch stream, hit record, hit stream, whatever you really want to do in OBS with these plugins that are available. And when it comes to the other things that they have, you can do a HTTP request with network. You can launch a application, either it be a file, an actual application, or a URL you may want to open, I don't know, in Firefox or Chrome or something. And you can set up a keyboard shortcut and you can select up a folder. You can switch a profile, you can switch the brightness, you can do multiple actions at once if you want to. And there's a gaming one, which is to keep your score, keep track of your score. And this doesn't actually keep track of the game that you're playing. It's more like you, the user, has to click on the button to keep track of the score that you have. So if you don't know, if you're setting up some like custom game with your friends or something, you can easily just press it to make a score on your StreamDeck to keep track of the score that's going on. And you can trade other profiles, so you can make multiple pages as you want. Now, whoever made this application, I do want to give some feedback as to what I would like to see in this so that I can maybe personally use it in the future if it becomes to my liking, even though it doesn't need to become to my liking. I've already found an application that works great. So these are just suggestions I would say, and the developer doesn't need to really implement these things necessarily. But my suggestions is a mute globally plugin. So there's no plugin that you can do where you can mute the mic across everything because I have different mutes for different applications. So sometimes I want to mute in Discord, but I don't want to mute in OBS. Let's say I'm live streaming. So I want to mute on Discord, but I don't want to mute on OBS. But maybe I do want to mute globally on both sides. So I just hit the mute globally plugin action and it just mutes it globally. The other one would be able to set a background image over all of the buttons. On Stream Controller, you can set up a GIF or just a regular background across all the buttons that it will span across all the buttons, and it looks really nice. That would be a plugin I would like to see. And another one is like the weather plugin and a system resource usage plugin and a speed test plugin. So if those could be supported maybe in the future, personally, I don't really care that much because I have Stream Controller, but those would be some plugins that I think a lot of people would like for this application. And of course, if you enjoy using this application or any of these applications in this video, I would highly recommend either donating if you're not a developer, or if you are a developer, maybe try and contribute to the project so these things can continue to get improved so that more users can use their Stream Deck to its full potential like they were able to do on Windows. And the next application that we are going to set up is Stream Controller. Like I said, this is the preferred one that I like to use. It offers a lot of plugins, I would say, and a decent amount of customization even. And when it comes to setting this application up, of course, I would leave all of these commands in the description. This one is rather easy. They've provided a kind of like a wget that is going to grab the UDEV rule and it's going to paste it into the right UDEV rule folder for you. So you just need to copy and paste this, click enter, type in your password, and it's going to just easily just copy and paste the rules into that location. Then we do the UDEV reload again. So it reloads the UDEV rules, or you can reboot. And then we can get into the actual application and it should be able to detect a Stream Deck. Now, one thing to note is that if you have multiple of the Stream Deck software open, only the first one that was open will work. So you got to make sure that none of those applications are running in the background so that the software can detect the Stream Deck properly. And as you can see, this is the main one that I use. So I have a lot of pages set up when it comes to different things that I may want to do. Either it be the main one, which is like controlling my music on YouTube, doing a speed test, opening up Firefox in YouTube, doing a Discord mute or a mute globally, the weather or the audio, or you can go to the sound folder, and then the CPU temp, the CPU usage, and the memory usage. Or I can go into the OBS studio page where I can switch scenes and do different like muting stuff, either it be desktop audio or the microphone audio. And if we do open up on the hamburger menu here, we can go open store, and this is going to introduce us to all of the plugins that are available. So we have an audio control, audio switcher, battery percentage we can look at, clocks, countdown, a counter, the deck plugin, which allows you to like create pages or switch different pages, a Discord plugin for like muting, deafening and all that, and voice calls or changing a text channel, GNOME Windows calls. You can do GNOME controls with the UI itself, control Elgato key light if you own one of those. There's also things like Helldivers 2 plugin, so you can probably do like the stratagem keys or whatever it's called for doing the missions. There's also an audio plugin for like that Harrison mix bus plugin that you can use in Adore, I think that's how how you say it. There's also a Home Assistant plugin. There's a Mango HUD integration. There's a media control plugin. There's a mic mute, like for like global muting. There's an OBS plugin. There's a live split in OBS plugin that you can set up. You can also set up Pi-hole plugin if you want to. There's also the OS plugin, so you can do all types of things with the operating system itself. There's also QEMU, so if you're into like VM control stuff, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. You can also do that. HTTP request. You can do a speed test. There's a Twitch integration, so if you want to play ads or anything on the stream that you're doing, or doing any of those Twitch type plugin actions, whatever, they're all available. Pretty sure this is VTuber stuff. There's a plugin for that. Volume mixer, more WebSocket server stuff, the weather, and then also XIVDeck Final Fantasy plugin that you can set up also. So there's a wide range of plugins that you can set up in this application. Then you also can download a bunch of different icon packs so you can customize and make sure they have the right icons for your buttons. And then if you want some wallpapers, you can easily grab this one, which is a Pixabay favorites plugin that allows you to at least add some wallpapers. But as I'll show soon, you can grab any wallpapers that you want from your computer, either it be a GIF or a regular background. So I'm going to show off some of the plugins that are on this page right now, like the speed test. So it says testing, and as you can see, the results have returned. It shows the ping, it shows the download, and it shows the upload. And when it comes to if I want to open up Firefox or open up another tab, I have it set to just open up YouTube, so I can just press this, and as you can see, it opens up YouTube. And when it comes to the music stuff, I have this set to, I'm pretty sure, my YouTube music. So if I'm playing any type of YouTube music, I can easily skip between different songs. As you can see, it's just going to the next song, even though you guys can't hear the audio because, well, it's copyrighted music. And then in the middle, we have the mute global. So you can't hear my microphone audio, so mute it globally. And then we also do have desktop audio. So if I am playing like music or something, if we can actually do a test run here, I guess. So as you can see, we have a video playing right now. And if we hit this, well, we can no longer hear that audio, at least on my side. I can't hear it anymore. So if I do hit this again, you'll see that down the bottom right here, it does mute it on my side, but you guys can still hear it on the OBS side. And then I do have a folder for OBS and more audio control. So if I do go to sound here, which is the sound folder, as you can see, it brings up two things. So we've got our YouTube here, and then we also have our Firefox, which is playing a YouTube video. And then I can control my actual audio itself if I want to. So I can do go up or down, either one. And I can also switch the audio devices. So if I want to play on my HDMI audio, if I have something plugged in through my monitor, I can easily do that. Or if I wanted to, I could plug into my speakers and then change the plugin to switch to the speakers. And then the last one is the OBS folder that we can switch to, where we can control different scenes that I have set up. So I have a bunch of different scenes set up for all types of different things, and I'll just click some of them. So we'll go to intro, BRB, live, no camera, screen 3 webcam, screen, record, webcam, webcam 2, and there is outro also. So as you can see, it is working. If we go back to live here, there we go. At least the scene switching does work properly. And then I also do have a mute and a OS mute, which is pretty cool. And when it comes to setting up these types of plugins like OBS or the Discord muting type of stuff, when it comes to OBS, it's the exact same as Boatswain. So you have to use the OBS WebSocket plugin. If you haven't watched the Boatswain one, I'll just repeat over. You go into your Discover, you find OBS Flatpak, you install that, you go to plugins on your GUI store, and you find the WebSocket server plugin. Then when you go to one of these actions that you create, if we go into it, we can set the IP, which is localhost, the port number, which is for me is 4455. I'm pretty sure default is 4444. And then you select a password for that, and then you can select the scene you would like to switch to, or if you want to do muting or any of that. And then when it comes to setting up the Discord side of things, you need to be running either the system version of Discord or the Flatpak version. System one preferably, but the Flatpak one can work. You'll just have to do some extra things when it comes to the permission side of Flatpak. Since Flatpak is sandboxed, it can't see those actions that are happening, so you're gonna have to allow that. But if you're running the system one, we first need to go through, and if you're on Flatpak also, you need to go through these steps, which is you need to go to the Discord developers application website. You need to create an application, name it whatever you want, like StreamDeck. Then you need to grab the client ID and the client secret. Now, when you see the client secret, you're going to have to hit reset to grab a new secret. And you want to back that up also because you may want to use it in the future, or you'll just have to keep resetting it to get a new secret. And then you need to find the redirect URL in the auth2 setting page and make sure that this is set as a redirect, so that it actually goes to the StreamDeck, so then the StreamDeck can actually like mute you on Discord or switch a text channel or whatever it is. And as it says here, the supported features is mute/unmute, deafen/undeafen, join/leave a voice channel, or join a text channel. Then when it comes to the Flatpak side of things, you want to enter these commands one by one. So if you're using Flatpak Discord, you want to do these things, and then after, if you reopen Discord, you should be able to, if you have all this set up also, it will now be able to work with the StreamDeck. And then when it comes to setting up the wallpaper stuff I was talking about, where it can span across the StreamDeck, as you can see right now, we do have a GIF open. If we go to page settings here and we overwrite the default deck background and we show background, we can then select a bunch of different wallpapers for the StreamDeck. So we can switch it to just a basic one like this, I could say. And if we have a look on our StreamDeck now, as you can see, the wallpaper, it might look a little bit funky, but the wallpaper is set correctly. And you can loop this if you have a GIF, and you can change the FPS. And the last one that we will set up is OpenDeck. Now, like I said, this is the one that tries to bring all the plugins that you use already on Elgato and make them supported on Linux, because it uses the same SDK as the Elgato software. And of course, when it comes to installing it, you can either grab it from Flatpak, or you can grab it from, like, if you're on Arch, you can grab it from the AUR if you want to, or if like your distro packages it officially, you can grab it from there. When it comes to setting up the UDEV rules, you do need to grab this .rules. You want to download the raw file button here and then save it into like downloads, for example. And then wherever you saved it, let's say you save it in downloads, you want to open this in a terminal here, and we want to do a command which will move these rules to the rules.d directory like the other ones, which I will leave this again all linked down below. So we hit this command within the downloads or wherever you downloaded it, and you open it up in a terminal, you copy and paste this command, it's going to move it to that directory. And then we want to do the same thing as before, which is the reload rules. So then you don't have to reboot to make the StreamDeck actually operate with OpenDeck. And if we do now open up OpenDeck, we are able to see some of the plugins that I have applied on the StreamDeck, which is working. And when it comes to what plugins do they support, we can see some of the ones that we have installed right now, like an analog clock, a Nanoleaf controller plugin, a open hardware sensor plugin, a Discord volume mixer, a hardware info plugin, the OpenDeck starter pack, the CPU plugin, a weather plugin, a streaming remote plugin, a YouTube connector plugin, a multi OBS controller plugin, and a audio mute plugin. And there is a bunch more plugins that you can control, like Linux media plugins. So you control the actual media that's playing on Linux. It's another analog clock, but it's by Elgato. Apple Mail, which is by Elgato. A counter, which is by Elgato. A Philips Hue plugin, which is by Elgato. And as you can see here, this is what I mean by they're trying to support what Elgato supports on Windows. There's a Dota 2 plugin. There's a Tado plugin. A lot of these plugins, I'm not sure of what they do exactly or where they're from. There's another one like open hardware sensor, which is something that we already have, but it's a different one. And there's way more. There's like Twitch chat plugin, Home Assistant plugin, a Slack status plugin, a Tesla plugin even, some AI paint plugins, there's an audio switcher, there's a Roku remote if you want to do that. Basically everything that you can think of when it comes to the Elgato plugins, this supports it, I would say. And when it comes to some of these other plugins, like the Discord one, for example, which we have 2 applied right now, it is similar when it comes to supporting it up. You need that application to be created on Discord, and you need that redirect for that local host redirect. So then the StreamDeck can actually mute you on Discord. And the same goes with OBS Studio. You need to set up the OBS WebSocket server. So you need to open up your Discover. You need to, if you're using OBS Flatpak, you search it up on Discover or your GNOME software, and you want to go to the add-ons and you want to find the OBS WebSocket. And after you install it, reopen OBS or open OBS, go to your tools on OBS, open up the WebSocket server. As we see here, I've opened it up. It's on the tools tab here, as you can see. And when you open it, there's a server port. You can enable the password if you want to, and then you want to make it, of course, the same, or for this case, you can set it to whatever port or IP really, basically localhost, and then the port, which is probably the default one, which is like 4444, and then a password so you can actually connect to it. And then, well, this one is a switch scene, so you can configure which scene you want to switch to. After you're able to get this connected, it will grab those scenes for you. So I would say when it comes to configuring StreamDeck on Linux, there is a decent amount of options to choose from. There's something that's very simple to something that I would say is the best when it comes to its own plugin support. It's really good. And then there's one that's trying to support the Elgato plugins, which a lot of people probably want because there's a lot of plugins on Elgato, even though for me, I personally do not need all of them. And when it comes to the issues that I've had using a Stream Deck on Linux, the application like Stream Controller sometimes did freeze and crash because of either me just mucking around it with it too quickly, or maybe the GIF was too high of an FPS. But that was really about it. After you're able to set up something like Stream Controller or Boatswain or OpenDeck, it really is kind of a set it and forget it type thing. Really, there's no other problems that I've had personally with it. I have been enjoying using it. Either it be controlling my music, doing a quick speed test, muting my audio, opening up Firefox, doing OBS controls, like I was doing a bit of live streaming and I was able to switch scenes rather quickly, or yeah, like I said, like mute globally, all that type of stuff is easy to do. So I would like to know your thoughts about the Stream Deck on Linux. What plugins have you used on Linux? Have you had any issues when it comes to trying to set up plugins that you were using on Windows and you moved over to Linux and you're missing some of the plugins? I would like to know those types of plugins. You know, of course, if you enjoy using this piece of software, I would definitely donate to these projects, and those suggestions of things you may have thought of that like we're working on Linux, I would highly open up an issue on GitHub or GitLab for these projects to suggest that plugin, so maybe they can at least try to figure out if they can bring that plugin support for you on the Stream Deck that you own. So if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely give it a like, definitely subscribe to the channel, and thank you to my supporters. I'll show a text across the screen. Thank you for giving me money every single damn month. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.